no, because there's no way to even see a doctor. Those who spend the night in the hospital on a stretcher in a hallway because there aren't enough beds. Isn't the minister sick and tired of the underfunding of healthcare? That's what the consequences are. Isn't she as disgusted as the rest of us to see this? She has the power to act because she's the one with the money. What's she waiting for? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I agree with my honourable colleague that the challenges before the healthcare system in Canada and Quebec are real. We all have to work together to help Canadians and Quebecers. I'd like to point out that this year, Quebec received $10.1 billion for health care. That's a 4.8% increase, but we need to keep up the good work, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Burnaby.
All across the country, people are struggling. Everything's more expensive. Putting food on the table is becoming a luxury. While the big grocery stores see their profits keep growing, the Liberals and the Bank of Canada are telling working people it's your turn to tighten your belt. Wages are not going up, and Loblaws is making profits 3 times the inflation rate. It makes no sense. The Liberals are still refusing to tackle corporate greed. Why are the Liberals putting CEOs ahead of struggling families? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, our government undertook to ensure that all Canadians pay their fair share. And that's why we implemented a 2% tax on the purchase of shares by public corporations, and we put in a corporate dividend tax of 15% on banks and insurance companies. And that's why we implemented a luxury tax. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Elmwood Transcona.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The fact remains that when we're seeing Canadians struggling to buy groceries, and we see the very same companies at which they're buying their groceries making profits that are growing at 3 times the rate of inflation, there's something seriously wrong with the economy that requires government intervention. We've seen other jurisdictions implement windfall taxes, not just on financial institutions, but on big box stores and on oil and gas companies that are seeing record profits, and we want to see the same done here in Canada. So when are the Liberals going to stop putting big corporations ahead of the needs of Canadians that are facing dire straits and implement a windfall tax?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government is absolutely committed to ensuring that everyone in Canada pays their fair share. That's why we've introduced a luxury tax on yachts, on private jets, and on luxury cars. That's why we've introduced a 2% tax on share buybacks. That's why we've introduced a 15% COVID recovery dividend on the largest banks and insurance companies. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Calgary Forest Lawn.
40-year highs in Liberal food inflation is forcing more families into food banks than ever. Yesterday, the PBO said the savings the Liberals are claiming aren't transparent and has the Finance Minister looking more like Pinocchio. She's out to lunch while Canadians have to skip lunch. Will the Finance Minister show some compassion and cancel the cruel tripling of taxes on groceries?
The Honourable Minister for Families.
First of all, my honourable colleague is absolutely false. There is no tripling of taxes that is coming forward. Mr. Speaker, when they talk about compassion, they should look in the mirror. They've had several opportunities over the past couple of weeks to support families in need, whether it was the Canada Dental Benefit that they voted against, whether it was the Canada Housing Benefit that they voted against, whether it was childcare that they voted against. Mr. Speaker, they have had real opportunities to support Canadians, and at each opportunity, they have not.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Forest Lawn.
Why would anyone take advice from a minister who broke Passports Canada and Service Canada, or an immigration minister who broke immigration, or a housing minister who broke housing, or a transport minister who broke our airports, or a finance minister who broke the banks of Canadians, or a prime minister who broke his promises and broke Canada? Why would anyone believe them? They should apologize for breaking Canada.
Honourable Minister for Families.
opposite like to pretend that they support Canadians. But over the past 7 years, we have seen time and time again when there are actual opportunities for them to support hardworking Canadians that they don't. Instead of supporting Canadians through the Canada Child Benefit that puts thousands of dollars into the pockets of lower income families, they voted against it. Instead of supporting the Canada Dental Benefit that is going to help low-income children access dental care, they voted against it. Instead of helping low-income renters with the Canada Housing Benefit, they voted against it. Mr. Speaker, I'm tired of their crocodile tears.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
The Liberal carbon tax is actually punishing Canadians. Has the Prime Minister spoken to anyone paying $3 a litre to fill their truck with diesel? Anyone out east who could pay $6,000 to heat their home this winter? What about a single one of the 1.5 million Canadians who used a food bank in a single month? Of course not. It's private jets, limousines, $6,000 hotel rooms, $12,000 grocery bills for them. When will these Liberals join us in the real world, listen to struggling Canadians, and stop their plan to triple the carbon tax?
The Honourable Minister for Tourism.
Mr. Speaker, if we want to level with Canadians, we just have to point to the heat dome 2 summers ago in Alberta, or the atmospheric river that fell on British Columbia, or Hurricane Fiona, the worst natural disaster in this country's history. Mr. Speaker, the best market mechanism to combat the existential threat of climate change is a price on pollution. The Conservatives don't like it. It's the responsible thing to do, and that's why we're doing it, to support Canadians and to support the planet.
The honourable member for Thornhill.